Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Johnson. I'm Regional Vice President for Fusion Alliance, and I'm also our Executive Leader of Strategic Data Management and Analytics. But I'm also the Editorial Board Chair and Visionary Co-Founder of the CDO Magazine. Welcome to our CDAO interview series, and today I have the great privilege and honor of interviewing Ritesh Khire, who is VP of Science at 8451, a wholly owned subsidiary of the Kroger Company. Ritesh, thank you for joining me today on the interview.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me. It's a really an honor to be here, and really excited to talk about some of these exceptional sciences we are developing at 8451.
Awesome. So as we get started with the interview, can you give our listeners a kind of a thumbnail overview of who 8451 is, what they do, and then also a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, happy to. So 8451 is part of the Kroger enterprise. It's an wholly owned subsidiary of Kroger. Now, what 8451 sort of tasked with is we are a retail data science, insights, and media company. Mm-hmm. And we essentially serve a host of stakeholders, primary being the Kroger company itself, but also CPGs, agencies, publishers, and partners. So a little bit about myself. So I have been working with 8451 since 2015, so 66 and a half years now. Of course, I started out, I did my graduation from Rensselaer Polytechnic, where I did my PhD with focus in optimization, and then for about nine years, I worked at a company called United Technologies Research Center, which was part of United Technologies Corporation. And that was an engineering company. And when I say engineering, I do mean the real, so it had Carrier. So I worked on optimization of Carrier air conditioners or Otis elevators, security systems, and then also Pratt & Whitney jet engines. And so I worked there as a research scientist, became, a staff scientist. And then, like I said, 6 years back, I started at 8451. Started as a senior scientist at 8451, and then gradually became manager, then VP, and now the lead of the research center. Now, apart from the charter that I talked about at 8451, and I also have I have substantial role in what I call broader scientific community. So, for example, I have published, number of research paper in journals and also presented in international conferences. I have written some book chapters, and I'm very active in the optimization community, where I have been invited as a keynote speaker for American Society of Mechanical Engineering Conference, ASME conference, and also invited speaker at National Science Foundation workshop. And I also was a judge on judging sort of the NSF proposal. And I regularly participate as a special session organizer at an ASME conference. And of course, apart from that, I'm Edison, New Jersey here. So I live here with my family, which is, two lovely daughters and my wife. So that's really about me, and a little bit about the organization.
That's a great background. Thank you for sharing that. And I know that your preparation and experience has qualified you well for the role that you have at 8451. And Kroger is an organization very much in transformation of the retail sector, not just in food retail, but across the landscape. Can you tell us a little bit about the type of sciences and AI that you're involved in developing at 8451 that's turning that needle?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's a favorite topic of mine. So when we think about AI and sciences as part of 8451 labs, I would say we're in a gambit in terms of whether sort of, the traditional sort of regression models to all the way to deep neural net and optimization. But the way I would characterize sort of its it's this AI as a journey. And I'm going to use a couple of phrases, and I'm going to describe them to you. What really we are trying to do is go from, and you through AI and machine learning, go from what is called as a descriptive sciences all the way to prescriptive sciences. And maybe if you let me, I'll just describe sort of what that meant. So this data science, once we had data, it started out with a question on what we call descriptive sciences. What that means is, tell me what happened. So that was more of a historical view. Tell me what happened. Then that led to diagnostic. Why did it happen? And so that is where we were, where sort of, and there is another name for it, more also called, some people call it insights. From there, what we are trying to do is go to the next level, which is now, instead of being descriptive, probably heard predictive. So trying to forecast what will happen tomorrow. But then don't stop at predictive, but go to prescriptive, which is really, how can we make it happen? Not just let it happen to us, but how can we make it happen? What is it that we can do so that the things can happen the way we would like them to be? And that is where sort of the AI optimization machine learning community, and that is the journey. And sort of at 8451, we are on the second phase of that journey, where we are going from sort of the predictive to now prescriptive. And the easiest way I remember all these is, a prescriptive is like, closest word is a prescription. You go to a doctor, they write a prescription, and you're all better. So the prescriptive.
Well, that's a great analogy. And I'm wondering, another one that comes to mind, and I think you can kind of clarify, because many members of society have been exposed to this, is Amazon. And I think Amazon's next best offer, or their suggestion engine that kind of meets you when you log into the site to suggest what you might want, would be kind of predictive. They're predicting that you're going to want this. But their prescriptive behavior took it one step further. And I don't know if you recall, there was a period where Amazon would ship you what they thought you would want, proactively before you even ordered it. So, you'd receive a package, and it would be one of the predictions. You'd receive it, and if you really wanted it, you'd keep it, and if you didn't, you'd send it back. So, is that a good example of the two models of science being applied? Predicting what I might be interested in, and then prescribing by going further than the prescription, giving me the pills and suggesting that I take them. And I think the science behind it, the algorithm suggested that there would be a greater number of cases where the consumer would retain the product that would offset the cost of those that rejected and returned.
Right. So let me take an example that I have worked on. I haven't worked on Amazon, so I wouldn't want to go there, but let me give an example of what we worked on. So, if you think about a retail, and we are sort of, a lot of our business comes from brick and mortar. If you think about a store, right? A good example of a predictive sciences would be the forecast models that we build. So how much what is going to be our demand that we expect in a day, in a week, in a month? So that forecast model would be an example of a predictive model. And of course,
is that going to be done at the item level?
That's a good question. It is done at the level that is, depends on the application that changes. Some predictions and some forecasts needed at item level, some of them at category, some of them at store. And forecasting in itself is a big science. And we have more than 700 million different forecasting models, make trillions of forecasts every day, starting from a store level model, all the way to, like I said, an enterprise level. And so it really changes, to your question. But going back to your question, so now that I have these predictive models, what happens is someone has to use those models to set the pricing and promotion schedule. And that, when we have AI, machine learning, and optimization allow us to optimize that price and promotion schedule, is what I would call prescriptive sciences. Now it's not just telling you what will happen, but now it says, if you set your prices in a certain way and this is how you promote, these are the maximum number of customers that you will be able to reach. And this is how you will be able to do that in the best business possible way. And so that is how sort of the predictive is what I would call our forecast model, and prescriptive is when we make the decisions using those models.
Ritesh, thank you so much for the time that you've spent with us today in this interview. I hope you'll come back again.
Absolutely, Mark. And I really enjoyed this conversation. So tell me when, and we'll talk.
You'll be there. Oh, great. Well, I'm going to hold you to that, and I know that Nikki will help me there. For our viewers, if you'd like to view other great interviews similar to this, please go to cdomagazine.tech, where you'll find them, along with other white papers that are being published. And again, our objective with this interview series and with everything that we publish on the site is to help educate the non-technical C-suite executive to really understand the promise, the value, and the sheer necessity of embracing and supporting the change management. I think you mentioned this, the human change management journey and the investments that are necessary to make the maximum return and impact on these approaches, data analytics, and the technology that goes along with it. So thanks everyone for joining us, and I hope you've enjoyed the interview.
Thank you.